and I have my gelato sitting out, and I thought, I'm not going to emphasize paint mixing today. I'm just going to use whatever I want as I go, which is fine because, like I said, I know that you guys use whatever you want too. So that's cool. I have, well, there's some hair today. I woke up just a couple of minutes ago and realized that
Patrice
I am
joined.
Due to be in class. So I am here to see what beautiful things Debbie is going to make tonight. But we are going to make beautiful things for sure, for sure. Can you switch me out
Yep,
and
sure
put the
can.
hands
Ready?
up? I want to show you what our wonderful friend Kathy S, made for me and sent me. Do you know what these are?
Lids, it looks like.
They used to be lids. Now they have a new life
Paperweights.
and a new purpose. This one is very heavy, and this one is very light. She sent me two so I could try them and see which one I like the best. She sent me these wonderful things, and I was praying as I opened the card. Oh, please tell me what they are. Please tell me what they are. Please tell me what they are. Because I thought, do they stack? Is it, do they go together? No, don't go together this way. What are they? How am I supposed to take her if I don't know what they are? And then in the card she told me,
Stamping
phew!
pads.
These are so that when we put our stamps on our pad and we close the lid, I don't have to do this. I do this.
That is a great idea.
And it is ingenious. I haven't tried it yet, so I'm really looking forward to it. I have both of them here. I'm going to try them tonight. And I think that is just really cool. And thank you. I don't think Kathy S is on yet, but thank you, Kathy Girl, for showing me these. So, and giving me two of them. I don't know if she comes in, we'll have her tell us how she made them. But this one has a nice grip because it's, I have big hands. So this one has a really nice grip. It's very lightweight, but it has a nice grip. But I think I have a preference for this one because I can kind of just get it and grab a hold of it, and I can be as forceful as I want. But it's easy. It's not like she said, now you're not going to have to do CPR on your stamps anymore. And as soon as she said that, I realized what they were. So thank you. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Alrighty, ready. So let's see what we're going to make tonight. We tried to make this last week, and it just would not cooperate. This is our stamp for this week. We're using the Trout Pond, and I think it's beautiful until you see what this very same stamp looks like when you put the mountains behind it. What a difference it makes to put the mountains in behind it, don't you think?
And the extra cattails.
It's huge. The difference is huge. Hi, Thelma. So we're going to make, of course, we're going to make the one with the mountains. So we'd be combining stamp sets 1 and 3 to make this. We can either go vertically or horizontally. If you had like a larger message that you wanted to put in at the top of your card, or making a vertical one makes some sense because then you'd have room in the sky to be stamping your message or putting in your stickers. And last week, what we were kind of fooling around with as we lost our feed was, what if we stamped some extra trees and some extra mountains in behind? And I think we could do whichever one suits our fancy. You'll notice that when I color them, no two turn out exactly the same. That's cool. That's what happens with watercolors. But yeah.
Say hello.
So those, Mary, are
Say hello to Diane and Patrice as well.
Oh, hello, Diane and Patrice. You guys snuck in on me. Hello, hello. So that's what we're going to make tonight. I had one that I started last week. This is the one with the extra mountains. This one, I don't think my coloring job on this one here was absolutely the best, but I do like my fish a lot in this one.
I like it.
But let's go ahead and just do some layered stamping, get our mountains and our trees in. And as I said to you guys a bit ago, not everybody was here then, I'm going to just kind of use whatever colors suit my fancy tonight. We've certainly hit the idea of blending our own colors really thoroughly in the last couple weeks. And for those of you who have the markers, if you want to blend your colors, we still have those. We have them here and available. But I brought in a couple of my other color mediums as well, just for the heck of it. I brought in my watercolor pencils, and these happen to be from Hunky Dory. So I've got my watercolor pencil roll, and maybe I want to just color with my colored pencils. That would be fun because I've been doing the same thing, for a couple weeks now. And I certainly have done lots and lots of personal color blending as I've made up our samples, but I'm kind of weary of doing that now. I'm ready to move on and do something else. So I got my watercolor pencils ready.
And they're Hunky Dory's.
This is the Hunky Dory Prism watercolors. Watercolor pencil set. For a long time we were out of these. A few of you guys got these, in fact quite a few got these after we did the sloth and the hot air balloon cards. You'll recall we did those using the watercolor pencils, and so I have those out and available. And I also still had on my table here from our flower making venture, I still had my gelatos out. Now, what I wanted to mention about the gelatos, and I already have a lot of browns and things in this deluxe set that I have, the gift set, and a few of you bought this recently too. What I wanted to mention about this is we can use these just like watercolors, guys. Instead of, I showed you that when we were doing the flower making that we could color right on the flowers and then blend them. What I didn't say then is I can put them right down on my palette and pick up the color just like we have our watercolors. So I got I'm still on the watercolor kick, but we're not going to spend a lot of time mixing our own colors tonight. I'm just going to use different mediums and play. So I presume that'll be okay with you. And that's my thought for tonight.
My opinion would be we've seen pencils and we've seen your watercolor pens. I'm kind of curious to see what and how the gelato ones work. That's my personal request, but there might be something different.
I'm open to taking requests.
Thelma says she loves the colored pencils. So
yeah, I love those colored pencils too. The watercolor pencils are a lot of good ones. And as Thelma mentioned, there's all grades of watercolor pencils. You can get Crayola on up. I don't recommend the lowest form of watercolors. Watercolor pencils. You tend to have a scratchy surface with some of them that just really they're not pigmented enough for the lower end ones. But if you get good watercolor pencils, it's worth the investment to get those. I would consider the Hunky Dory ones to be mid to upper mid grade, so they're good. You don't have to spend $1 a pencil to get really good ones. You can. There are some really expensive ones out there, but these are a good mid-grade watercolor pencil. They have plenty of pigment. They're not scratchy to use. They lay down well. If you're not adding water, they still blend well. So I think the Hunky Dory watercolor pencils are pretty darn good. So I've talked lots and stamped little. I think we should probably do a little stamping. And I can't wait to try my new devices. For those of you who weren't here, think about what you think these might be. that Kathy girl sent me. I hope she tunes in so she can see that I'm trying these tonight. They came in, and for those of you who weren't here, they came in. I opened the box and I thought, what are they? Do I stack them? Do I, that's stable, but what is it? Maybe they go together somehow this way. No, that won't do it. What the heck are these things? And I was praying to myself as I opened the card, oh, please, please, please tell me what these are in the card. And she did, and we'll see what those do here in a few minutes. Those who tuned in early already know what they are. So there we go. Okay. Got my masks, got my card samples. I don't need that pen. I got my coloring mediums. I got my trusty palette. I got my baby wipes. I got my watercolor, my water pens. I think we're ready to go. Let's do this thing, huh? Okay, I think just because it's a little different, we'll make one like we started to make last week. I think we'll do one that has extra mountains and extra trees just because it will give us an opportunity to try a little bit of extra masking and layering, which I think will be useful. So let's go ahead and stamp something that looks like this for our stamping project today. All right, set those back for just a minute. I have already taken my foam pad out of my... Did I tell you guys that these are back after months of waiting? And pleased to to find it trading over and over again. The Crafts 2 Press to Impress stamp platforms are back. These are a really good deal for what we're getting with these guys. If you don't have one of these or a stamp platform of some kind, just get one of these. If you don't have if you have a Misty or something, that's great. But a Misty's going to run you about $69. You can get this one in our store for $29. And this is a heck of a platform for what we're paying for it. I found some lower cost ones because I wasn't sure I was going to get these again. I went out shopping for them to see what else I could get, and I could get one in the same price range, but it only did clear stamps.
Oh.
We would have been SOL to try and do this project, or I could get one. Sorry, out of luck. But there were also some out there that you could do, but you had to take the lid off and turn it around the other way. That's silliness, guys. We can use this one, and the only difference that you do to use cling stamps instead of the clear stamps is take this little foam pad out. So we take that out, and now we're ready to stamp with clear stamps. And I think this is a really good device for what we're paying for it. I have used this and used it and used it over the last few months, and it's a great deal. So I am going to get my foreground stamps out. So we're pulling out Trout Lake. Yeah, really. I am. There's tape on the back of the package that keeps you from pulling this out. I love these storage boxes. I know they come with the panels that are all punched and stuff, but I really like the storage boxes and for storing these. And they even say on the binding what they are, so you can put these right up on the shelf and see them so easily. I like that. So what I'm going to do to store mine, for this brand stamps at least, I'm going to put them on my shelf so I can read the bindings, and then I'll put the die that matches it right behind each one, because you can't see, it's not really convenient to see what these say, but I can put the matching die set right behind it and keep track of everything that I've got. So anyway, I'm going to pull my stamps out here, and in the Trout Lake Look at all my masks on the back of here that I've cut and used. On the Trout Lake one, we get 3 stamps in the set. We get the actual, this is a big stamp. This is that first one that I showed you. Everything except the cattails in the very foreground is 1 stamp here with this. Now, we can use just the parts we want, and I think we'll talk a little bit about that today. We're going to use this stamp, but I'm going to show you how to use just a piece of the stamp. A lot of you probably know that already. Hi, Roberta. But I'm going to show you how to pick up just elements off this stamp today. So we're definitely going to be using that. We have another stamp that is cattails, and we're going to want that in our foreground. And we have another stamp that is all foreground grasses and things. This one's nice because it stamps low, and then we can see all the elements in our in our pond behind it without having to use a great big piece of paper. So we're still going to make a European A6 image, but we're going to use some of these lower elements to kind of drop things down a little bit. And then I already stole this out of my other stamp box, so I'd have them all together. This is my mountains out of stamp set 1 from this series. Next week, I get a little ahead of myself. I don't have a sample for you yet, but I have some ideas from Heartfelt Creations. Next week, we're going to be using our last stamp set in this series, which is this one. And we're going to combine elements of all of our sets into one bigger card, which is going to be really fun, I think. So 4 sets in total in this series. Okay, I do know already that because I want to run some of my elements off the edge, that I'd like to start kind of out here in the middle. It is important that you know where you're starting, though, because if your card slides at all, you want to be able to get it back in exactly the same position. So just for the sake of argument, I'm going to tell you that I'm lining up to number 19 and number 4 on the top of my grid here. That's 19 centimeters and 4 centimeters, but I'm going to line up to 19 and 4 just so I know where to go exactly back to if I need to reposition at all. Okay, I'm going to start. Remember, when we're stamping, and I've said this for a few weeks now, but it's really important. When you're stamping, you stamp your foreground, the thing that is the closest to you first, which seems counterintuitive. It seems like you'd start at the back with the mountains and work your way forward because that's the way your mind tells you to do it. But if you did that, you would have all of your stuff, you would have all your lines from everything layering over the stuff behind it. So we're going to start in the foreground and work our way back. I'm going to start and I'm going to kind of let some of this grassy stamp fall off the bottom of my paper. I'm going to pick that up. I need my trusty pink fresh stamp pad. If we have anybody with us who was not part of our earlier classes, we just discovered downstairs that we had some of those stamp sets from one of our earlier classes, the Creative Stamping magazine that had the 2 A4 sets in one magazine. We found some more of those, and you can't get that one anymore. And Brittany's putting together a few more of the, oh yeah, this one. Thank you, Margie. This one that we did, you'll recall if you have been watching all the stamp classes, we did this one with the sloth hanging down from the branch, and we did this koala one in class. And then we also did some really cool hot air balloon things. This class kit came with two separate A4 stamp sets. It was just a terrific buy that they did in this exclusive version of the magazine. And we found a few more of those magazines downstairs. So we are going to put up a few more of those class kits from that earlier class. If you weren't with us when we did that, that's a really good class. I went back and watched that a while back, and it's a really good class. I'm not supposed to say that if it's my class, am I? But it was a really good one. We talked about some really good, fun, important techniques. Okay, now, if I wanted to, I could make this grass go all the way across by simply, running my stamp off the edge. But I have these wonderful cattails that I want to get in here. So I'm going to run my cattails kind of up against the edge of that grassy area there. And I'm going to go ahead and put those down. Now, if I want to be sure that everything's going to be great, I could just put a little mask right over the end of my grass here to make sure that I'm not stamping on top of my grass. I think I'm going to be okay. This cattail actually starts in a little ways, as I recall. And I'm going to I think I'll reposition that so that it kind of overlaps my grass just a little bit. And then I won't have any bare space in between those. So kind of mask that off a little bit. I cheated a bit there. I didn't even do my cutting of my mask. I just covered up my little area a bit there. I'm going to put some more cattail in on this side, because why not? You tend to have a lot of cattails around a pond. I'm going to bring this one down a little bit more so it doesn't look exactly like it does on the other side. I'm going to pick that up. It actually had enough ink on the stamp to probably do what needed to be done there, but I'll put a little bit more on there.
Speaking of the inks and the Pink Fresh, we don't have any more of the little cube ones, but we do have 2-inch by 3-inch. So if you can imagine how long Debbie's been using this Pink Fresh for, just imagine how much you will have with the bigger one. But I wanted to just make sure that people knew, so then that way they weren't looking for one thing. And
good point. Why this Pink Fresh? The reason we're using this one is because this is what's known as a hybrid pad, and this one will not smear when we add the watercolors to it. It won't pick up these lines at all. What that tells me is that this either has some oil or some alcohol in the base to this, and that keeps it from picking up and smearing these lines when we add the watercolor medium to it. So it's really important that you get yourself one that will not smear. Our regular dye-based ink pads would not be good for this job we're doing right here now. If you're using regular colored pencils, you'll be just fine because you're not adding water, right? But if you're using anything that's got any kind of water to it, you need a hybrid ink pad or you need an alcohol ink pad like StazOn. Now, by contrast, If you were going to color this using alcohol markers, you could still use this one because this is a hybrid pad, and it's made to use either with alcohol markers or with watercolors. But a dye-based pad that's water-based would work just fine with your alcohol markers. But you can't use whatever the base is in your colors. You can't use that in your ink pad. So you could use dye base when you're using a StazOn. Does that make sense? Or let's try that again. You could use dye base when you're using alcohol markers. So you don't want to use a medium for your stamping that's the same blend as your
what you're using to color.
You're using to put it on. Thank you. I just kind of lost my train of thought there.
I do that all the time.
Okay. Next, we're going to get some of our. I've already cut out a bunch of my masks here, so I'm going to put down some of my masks on here. If you're stamping along, you're probably going to have to stamp an extra piece of your cattail and an extra piece of your foreground stamp. Do I have an extra piece of my foreground stamp here? I may have lost that one. I might have to do it again. It looks like perhaps, no, that's it right there, I think. I think that's it. Here we go. I'm going to put these little masks down to cover up what I've stamped here. Oops, I guess it goes here. I'm going to put these little masks down to cover up my stamping so that when I put this in, I'm not losing all of my pretty stamping that we've done. I didn't shut off Rocky, so if you guys want to run and get your boxing gloves, we'll be all ready for our next segment. Okay, and I have this one little piece here that still isn't covered up, so I think I'll just cheat a little bit in the interest of time, and I'm going to just kind of roughly mask that little piece there. But just a little piece of paper. Now I'm ready to stamp this trout pond anywhere I want. Let me give you a little coloring tip here on the trout pond. At the very bottom of the stamp, we've got the trout coming up out of the water. Don't bring this down too low, or the trout kind of gets lost in the muss. It's better if there's a little bit of water ahead of him. So we're actually going to move this up a little bit just because we know that trout needs to be set up just a little bit away from here. Now, don't worry, that doesn't mean we're going to cut off our area for the mountains. It just means that our mountains are going to go behind some of our elements here. So that's okay. I want to make sure I have plenty of room for my trout.
Can you shut it and then show how much of a gap you've made? Because it doesn't pick up that space.
Let's do that. Okay. So you can see there. Here. Let's turn this around. So I'm actually putting my stamp so you can see the white space underneath, and I'm going right to the very top of those reeds and stuff. I want to just allow some space for my trout to jump, because otherwise, if I didn't show you that and you don't position it up high enough, you're not going to be satisfied with the way your trout looks when we bring it in. Okay, let's see. Let's go ahead and get our ink on there.
Andrea said that she loves that we can hear you both at the same time.
That we can do what?
Hear us both at the same time.
Yeah, isn't that cool? You know what our answer was to our microphone dilemmas? Now, I've had all these really nice microphones and stuff. I will admit I didn't pay enough for some of them. If I paid more for them, maybe we would have had more satisfactory results. But we've had all these microphones we've been trying, and at the end of the day, you know what worked the best? The microphone in the computer that we're running everything through. That's all we're using is a mic system right now, and it's working great. So go figure. Okay, I'm going to shut this lid, and I'm going to get my wonderful Kathy device out here.
We should have Roberta make you a little commercial because she has been just letting us know how wonderful the stamping press is. She's
Oh,
given
I'm
like
so glad that
lots
you're
of
loving it.
different ideas on why
Excellent.
she likes that versus the one that you have to flip over the top. And
Thank you, Roberta, for sharing that. That's great. Okay, here's my Kathy Girl device. Okay, she sent me this, and we're going to try it for the first time. She sent me 2 versions of the same thing. The reason I couldn't make them go together is they don't go together, they're 2 different ones. She said that she's been watching me do CPR on my stamps, and this will keep me from doing that. It's weighted. She's used the top of a glass jar, I think, and she's filled it with something that's very heavy. And then she's locked it all in there, and she's put felt on the bottom here. And she said, all you need to do is just pick this thing up and then rub it around on there, and no more CPR. And look at that. One stamp. It's even, it's nice. I don't have to stamp over it again. It's beautifully stamped. So thank you, Kathy Girl, for that inspired notion. We'll try this one next. This is just another version of the same thing she did. Wasn't sure which one would fit my hand better. And they both fit my hand well. I have a big hand, so this big one is good. But this one is really comfortable to grab a hold of. So I think they're both going to be good. And I'm going to use those.
that's a neat idea.
I think that's a very neat idea. Okay, now we talked about before, what if I want to extend my tree line out and across, which is kind of what we started with last week when I lost you guys. We got just about this far, and see how I extended my tree line out a little bit? I just want to show you the difference between the two. Here's one where the tree line is just a little bit, and I kind of have the valleys to both sides. And this one is pretty. It is pretty. But just in terms of realism, I actually think that getting that additional bit of layering in there really adds to the depth of my mountains. So let's get some extra trees in here. Now to do that, there's 2 ways I can do that. One is I can mask the end of this so that I'm not stamping over any of it. And that's always a good idea, to mask your mountains and things so that yes, I already have my mask cut. I don't throw them away. I told you, I stick these on the back of my packages, guys. And see, now I can do all the work I want over here, and I'm not going to ruin what I've done before. So that's one way I can use part of my scene, is if I want to use this little tree over here and maybe a little bit of this foreground, and I've got this nice round tree up in here. If I want to add those in, I can get those in. I'm going to have to come down even further on my stamp pad, it looks like, though, because I have this big long stamp I want to add. So I'm going to actually slide this down just even a little bit further. Slide on my mouse. I'm going to go down here to where my outside is at 8. And that way I can kind of position this any way I want to. Get my magnets back on there and hold my paper good while I'm doing that. By the way, just want to remind you, we do have extra magnets. I find that I like having more than 2 magnets that come in this, and I believe we do have some of these magnets still left in the store. So if you do decide that you want this kind of stamp platform, I recommend getting yourself a few extra magnets. And let's see what this looks like. I'm going to go ahead and go in here. Now, I don't want my fish and stuff, so I really only want maybe about this much actually hitting my paper. So I'm going to be careful to keep my fish off the edge here. And this is one way that I can do this, and I can control how much hits it, is just what touches my paper. I can definitely do that. So let's pick this up again. It had a little bit of stamping on it, or a little bit of ink on it, which lets me kind of see where everything's going to go under my new little device. It was hiding. And I'm going to really emphasize these trees here, and maybe even down into some of the stuff around.
Mary, I would like to know what is inside the jars, and we're not sure.
This one is very lightweight, so I'm guessing.
It almost looks like the Stickles paste on the inside, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't think she put anything to weight this one.
Mm-mm.
This one feels like it has sand in it. It may just be the heaviness of the glass lid, because those like candy jar, apothecary jar kind of lids can be kind of heavy. But this one almost feels like she has put sand in it. I don't know. Hopefully she'll join us and we'll be able to see.
They're going to call it a stamping genie.
A stamping genie? That works for me. Okay, so I've got my extra trees put on that side. Now I'm going to reposition things again. I'm going to slide it over the other direction. Now, there is another thing I can do if I want to. You can control where your stamping goes, either based on masking everything, which is the technique we've been using the most. But I will say there's another thing we could do, and that is we can add color only to the elements that we like. So by clearing off, taking my baby wipe, which I have conveniently stashed somewhere, somewhere safe, no doubt, and clearing my ink off of this, which I can still do while this is wet. I will tell you that these hybrid ink pads will stain your stamps. It's like using StazOn will stain your stamps. It's just because they are permanent inks. A little bit of it will come off while it's wet, see, but after it dries, it's just going to stay there. And I don't care if it's stamped, as long as it's not damaging my stamp. I don't care if it's stained. It doesn't matter to me at all. Okay, so the other thing I can do is that I can use my cube and I can put ink only on the elements I want. So I can look at my stamp and I can come back in here and I can color just the things I want to show. Now, if I was using a marker to color on my stamps, this is how people are using a stamp and they're getting multiple colors off the same stamp. If I was using watercolor markers, like these even, I could color just the pieces I want to show. And then what you do is, it doesn't matter if it dries. Just before you stamp it, you go, you huff on it, and that adds moisture back into it, and then you can stamp.
Do you puff too?
I huff and puff, whatever it takes to get the air out these days. But you just huff on it, and that will give you enough moisture. If I was watercolor markering, if I was using watercolors, that would give me enough moisture to get it done. I just realized as I'm looking at my stamped image here, I really don't want all of this to come down. I don't want these foreground rocks again. So I'm going to clean that off with my stamp. I just want my tree line. Down here in front, in our stamped image, they have these rocks and things that kind of make it look like the end of the trout pond. And one of the things that I want to do, and that I did in my last one, was I actually continued the trout pond on out and made it bigger, which I thought was kind of cool. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to position this on here so that I get my trees I want and I don't get a lot of that other stuff. Now I really should mask that outside tree, which I have a mask for. Surprise, surprise, looky there. I saved one. And I want these trees to come in right about there, maybe, because I'm going to make some. Now, the other thing we've learned is watch the up and down points on those trees to make sure that our trees are standing straight and tall. We want those trees to be straight up and down. We don't want them leaning at an angle because that would be weird.
Or it just could look like the trees outside here in Portland with all the ice that made some very unique stamp.
Margie is reminding us that her trees were not necessarily standing up straight and tall after the ice. Good point. Good point. After the ice, they were kind of leaning every which direction, which was not a good state of affairs, really. You know, having a 40, 50, 60-foot tree in your backyard, it's really cool as long as that tree is standing straight and tall and true. But, you know, if that tree starts leaning at a 45-degree angle, that's not a good state of affairs. That's kind of frightening. Okay, so let's see what we get when it's all said and done here. I'm still going to have an open space on this side of this. Oops, tore my little mask there. Might be time to replace that one. Let's see what we have in our final stamped image. Now remember, I said what I want to do is bring my lake on out. The one thing I thought was a little bit funky about Trout Lake is look at the size of that trout in relation to the size of that lake. I don't know how many of you are fisher people, but that is unlikely to be true. But if we can stretch out the length of that lake and make that lake a lot bigger with the illusion that it goes on and on, now that makes some sense. So anyway, I'm going to save all my masks because I do that because it's lots faster. And let's see how we're doing here. Okay, so I'm not worried about the fact that I've kind of got this tree line because all I have to do is add a bank below here, which I can either do with my black marker out of my watercolor set, or I can just come in with my color and do that to add some bank in front of those. And all this then becomes water, which I like, I want. Okay, let's put our mountains in. I'm going to go back to my original 4 and 18. And it's time. I just took all those masks off. That was silly. Because I needed those masks for my tree line in order to put my mountains in behind. Let's just do it again and say, what do we got besides time? Oops, don't need the cattail. That's cattail. And that's foreground. And I do have a little mask here that I have created. What's this to? Nope, I don't know what that's to. Let's see what else I've got on here. Oh, here's another one. Nope. It only helps to have the masks if you know where they go.
Maybe they changed a little bit with the fact that you use the trees a little differently.
That's possible. That's the snow. No, I'm just going to cut new ones. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to need some more sticky notes, Margie. I go through a lot of sticky notes when I'm stamping. So I need to make, thank you. I'm going to stamp this up a little ways further than I expect to use it because I'm just going to cut out the extra. So I'm going to stamp my mountain, and then I'm going to cut out the extra, and then I'll stamp it again to get all the mountain details I want to retain. So
Thelma said that, I just moved it. Let me see. There we go. So Thelma said that a fisherman's story, that it would be a fisherman's story about the one that got away.
I caught one that's this big.
Maybe it's a fisherman that stocks his lake, right?
Yeah.
his little pond. Roberta said fish jumping out of ponds are too small, and that trout and Andrea said that trout looks like a creek.
It looks like a creek. Okay.
Creek.
That's all right.
I think the word might be mistyped. So it's a creek chub in a mud puddle. Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's so big compared to the water.
So let's just make the water bigger. Okay, I'll pick up this. Okay. All right.
It's sitting there waiting for you, Roberta.
I'm going to go ahead and stamp my mountains in. I can let my mountains go as high as I want to because as long as my stamp platform is, my magnets are all down and everything's good and copacetic, I can go ahead and stamp this once, and then I'm going to come back in and I'm going to stamp it again in the same place once I cut my mask out. Okay? So I'm going to pick up my stamp and I'm going to ink it up. See, I'm not creating a earthquake with it this time, both because only one leg from the camera is on the table instead of the entire camera, and because I'm not doing it so hard. Get my little device here, rub this back and forth. Okay, I have my mountain, and I'm just going to leave everything else set up. Oh, that was stupid. I'm being stupid, guys. Sometimes I do that. It's not the mountain that I wanted.
It's the trees.
It was the trees that I wanted when I put in the mountain. Now I'm going to have to match my mountain. I don't like myself for that. Okay, so I got to put my tree line back in. Duh.
Hey, it happens to the best of us.
Okay, let's see. So here's my trees. And I got two different stamps I got to use here, or two different masks. Sometimes I annoy myself though. Duh. I could go at it the other way. I could have left my mountains here and cut my trees out of the bottom. But that gets confusing. We shouldn't do that. I will confuse the crap out of you. Okay, let's just stamp this. Shoot, that was silly of me. Oh, don't listen to what I say, listen to what I mean, guys. Okay. Alright, there's my trees. That's what I really wanted when I did the mountain. Sometimes I'm just silly. Just silly, I tell you. Where's my scissors? I got myself all confused.
Roberta, Emma's birthday is at the end of September, and she's already my sidekick. She asked, she will have to be 7 to have time for a sidekick.
Okay. So all I really care about with these trees is that I'm just kind of clipping down between and letting some of the mountain details show in behind these trees because the mountains are coming right down in behind them. So I don't have to really, really precisely cut this mask. I just need to cut some wedges out of here to let some of my mountain elements show there. So let's put this mask back in here. Then I have one little piece left I need to stamp. And
Thelma said that great artists make mini and start over.
yes. Bob was, when I got up the other day, Bob was watching Bob Ross on TV. He'd never seen Bob Ross before. I thought that was fascinating. He was really into watching Bob Ross creating. That man was a genius. And one of the things I love about Bob Ross is just his easygoing demeanor, his, I can do whatever I want in my world. It's your world. You can do whatever you want. You're the master of your world. I loved it when he said, when I'm done here, I'll have to go empty the troops. Trying to do CPR on my stamps. I may have to go empty the trash, but right now I'm the master of everything in my world. He is just a funny guy. So sweet. Such a sweet temperament. Yeah, but I do whatever I want in my world. It's your world. Create what makes you happy in your world.
I found knee socks with him on it.
With what?
Had pictures of Bob Ross on
with
it.
Bob Ross?
That said happy trees, happy. They were really cute.
Really cute, I'll bet. Oh, look, I didn't stamp it quite over far enough. Okay, it's time for one of those improvised masks again because I'm getting tired of this particular masking project. I want to move this along, so I'm going to just create myself a little.
Betty said that Bob Ross never made her feel incompetent.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. Didn't. He didn't and doesn't. He's still out there. What, 20 years? Almost 20 years after his death? Still out there with his happy trees. No, it was really fun to watch him. It was. Okay, what did I just do? Well, I think I'm okay. Okay, now that I have done that, now I have extra trees. Shoot. Okay, I'm going to make it work. I ended up with some ghosty trees back there, but I'm going to make those trees work. I'm just going to color them in. All right. I don't feel very competent as your leader today. Wait for me, I'm your leader. Okay. All right. I'm putting this mountain in here. And then I'm going to take care of my ghosted trees because somehow I managed to not have my mask set up just right to where I have some ghosted trees. If I don't like this one when I'm done, I will simply, I will simply use the one I did last week. The whole idea here was that I wanted to have you guys see how to mask this, and I'm not doing much of a job, but I am at least getting it in there. So I don't like my mountain peak here, and I'm going to do it over later, but I'm tempted to say through the magic of television, which I'm not going to say because I told Margie she can never ever say. I do have a completed stamped image. If I wanted to continue this on over, I would need to trim down my masks a little bit here. Have to move this mask over here. I'd move this mask over here. and I moved this mountain. And what I did in my redone one here was that I raised this mask, or I raised this image way up in this last one so that the rest of them all look like foothills. Everything is mask off underneath it, so this should be safe on this side. I still don't like my stamping on this one, but I at least want to get this peak put in here so I can show you how I did that. I raised this stamp way up on this outer image. Then I'm just going to switch cards because I would do this over if I were doing it myself. But with you guys all watching and waiting, but I do want to show you that side of my image because that's pretty. I don't like that I got ghosted trees and my mountaintop didn't come in quite right here on this side, because I just screwed up earlier. But see how this mountain just kind of adds to that really seamlessly on that side. So let's look at this one again. Oh, my screen just froze. Nope, it's back. Okay. So there we go. I've got my big tall peak. I've got my water continuing. I've got my mountains in between. So we're switching. I'm switching stamped images, and I'm going to go with the one I finished last week.
Happy 50th, Stephanie.
Happy 50th. That's wonderful. Congratulations. 50 years. That's awesome. Okay. And this one, when we're done with class, will probably turn into an entirely different one on the back. I won't throw it away because paper has two sides, and if you mess up on one side, you do the other. But I am going to color this one instead. Okay, I gotta get my paint palette out here from under all my stamps and my masks. I can't believe I messed that up so bad in front of you guys. Sometimes I embarrass myself when I do these things. But the beauty of being live. It's the beauty of being live. I don't like the way it turned out, but I have a replacement available.
But you know what? I think that it's nice to be able to show that it doesn't always go smoothly, but that it's okay.
That's okay.
You can make it work again.
As long as you've got paper and ink, just do it over. Okay. So let's do a little work on this one. Now, I like to start somewhat with my lighter colors, and I'm going to use these. I'm going to use these yellows in two areas. See, I can color on here, and it just looks like wax crayon on there, doesn't it?
Let me show you a Betty Gossel statement.
I'm using the same background stamps, but have a unicorn. Oh, I love that, Betty. That's so cool. That's so cool. But these just go on. They look like crayon on there, don't they? But I can do the same things that we were doing by just coming in with my water brush and see just the water in my water brush. I mean, I didn't even squeeze out some on the palette. Just the water in my water brush was enough to begin to pick up those gelatos.
It's amazing.
So I'm going to come in with some of my bright yellow in between my mountains here. This needs to be cleaner. Got a little blue or green still in there. I'm going to come back in and pick up a little fresh paint because I didn't like the color that was picking up there. Thelma's advice, always make sure your brush is clean. My brush wasn't as clean as I thought it would be, but I fixed it. So I'm going to put some bright yellow in there. I'm going to put some bright yellow down on my fish. And it acts just like watercolor paint once I add the water to it. It's pretty concentrated right now because I'm not putting extra water to it. One of the things I found in coloring this is that I liked a lot of yellow in my fish. It really kind of, with the colors I was using, the yellow, I stayed more to yellow than I did browns because it was easier to see the fish if I kept him pretty bright. And he's kind of a focal of this design, so the brightest color is going to attract the most attention, you know. I do like kind of a golden color on this fish, but I'm going to put down my yellow first and then come back in with some golden, you know, some oranges and stuff later. It's funny because I felt inclined to get some red to mix it because that's what I've been doing with all of these. This time I can just actually grab some orange. I grab some orange for my sunset. And using my water, I will say that I think these gelatos just have wonderful, wonderful mixing properties. I mean, I can make an absolutely invisible line between the yellow and the orange there. Now let me come in with some more orange and make it true orange above that. But see, the line just completely, totally disappeared. I move into my orange. I'm going to grab some darker orange.
Roberta, I think that this stamp set, you're right, would make great shadow box cards.
Oh, yeah. In fact, we're going to do some layering in next week's stamping because we have so many elements now that I think that would be beautiful. In fact, maybe you guys are inspiring me. Maybe we'll just use some foam squares and do a little cutting, and we'll a little paper fuzzy there. Gotta get off. We'll maybe actually do some layering right on our card next week. That'd be beautiful. Let's do that. Do that. Do our sample this week. The further we get away from our light source, the darker it's going to be in the sky. I've realized I've done almost every one of these with sunsets in them, but I do like sunsets. I think they're beautiful. It's like a gift from God, the sunsets, don't you think? All right, I'm going to pick up a little of my orange and go into my fish. And give him, fish are actually a little bit darker on the back and lighter underneath, usually. So the predators underneath them are less likely to see them, and when we're looking down into the water, we're less likely to see them when they're dark. But they're light from the bottom, so when a predator comes up underneath them, they're less likely to see them. Get some nice oranges to that fish. He kind of looks like a fish out of water right now, but I couldn't help it, guys. I had to say it. All right. So let's put some, where do I want to go from here? Maybe we'll work a little bit on, it seems like I always go to my trees next, and that's, well, let's see. Let's do my mountains. I'm still going with purple mountains. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. I have enjoyed my purple mountains. I have noticed in the samples that you guys have sent, and I love that you're doing this. You guys are going off in totally different directions with the coloring in these, and I love that. I love that, guys. I want to see more samples of your stamping.
Roberta said that she's going to send some to you when she's done with her shadow box cards.
Good.
To post.
I'd love that. I would love that. put down your lighter color first, and then start coming in. This almost pink here, but that's okay. I'm going to come in with a real light color on my mountains, and then I'm going to start layering up my color. Layering it up as we move further away from the sun. We have more darker colors. Yeah, I'm noticing I'm using a lot less water with the gelatos, which is nice on my paper. Now, Roberta did recommend, and I want to repeat that because I think it's nice. If you can use lots of different weights and kinds of paper, but for watercoloring, if we wanted to have the best canvas for watercolor painting, or doing some mixing with some other mediums that kind of have a water base, it's useful to put some gesso down on your paper and let that dry in advance. I'm not doing that because I'm just not using enough water on these to feel like I need to do that. But I do want to acknowledge Roberta's comment, and she's right that prepping your surface with some gesso would in fact help any buckling that you might get from putting water on your paper. And we do have that canvas board kind of paper that Roberta had recommended in the store now, the 140 weight paper. It's very, very thick. So you don't only use gesso on canvas, you can use gesso on any kind of a surface to kind of prep and prepare that surface to accept mixed medias and things where you're doing heavy treatments on paper. So let's get some purple in here. She's got some pretty good crafty ideas, our friend Roberta. Lots of you have good crafty ideas. You don't necessarily send them to me, though. Oh, Roberta sends lots of crafty ideas. Okay. Up here, kind of on the back side of my mountain from the light source, so make it a little darker on this peak, a little lighter as we come closer to the light source.
Say hi to Brenda.
Hi, Brenda. Welcome, friend. So next week we're going to do some layering with these stamps. I do very much like that idea. We'll do that. And we'll do some cutting and put some foam squares in, and I think we will create a layered card. I think that's a really fun notion for all these stamp sets. And next week we'll have our accent stamps, with our extra little animals and things. We'll probably use a little bigger paper, maybe a 5x7, so we can get lots of activity in. So I like that. You guys will notice I'm not being particularly careful about painting in the trees. The trees are going to be a darker color, and that color will lay right over the top of this. So instead of painting down in between my trees and being really precise, I'm just kind of washing over them right now. Once I let them dry, let it dry good before you come in and go over the top. But I could just kind of go right over the top of my trees right now and then come in and put some green down over the trees because it's a nice dark color and it'll layer right over the top. So that saves me some time when I'm painting it, not to get all carried away with, trying to hit every little nook and cranny.
Roberta said that she's working with pan pastels and jelly press with stencils.
Oh, fun. I want to do some jelly press stuff. I have never done it. I have all the stuff here to do it, but I haven't started it because I've been prepping 2 classes a week for a few months now. But I think that would be really fun to do some jelly press stuff. I want to see some of those too, Roberta. It'd be fun to see that.
Betty says that she'll send you a picture if the unicorn works out.
Oh, that's cool. I'd love to see that, Betty. That's fun, fun, fun. Okay. Now I'm going to come in, I'm going to start making some of these areas darker and lighter. Kind of showing the texture of the hills back here. I don't want them all to be the same color. I want darker sides to the mountains and lighter sides to the mountains. Kind of rolling hills here behind. So bring in some dark color on these back sides. You get any hard lines, just kind of go over them a little bit more with a damp brush. It'll kind of wash some of that out. I want some extra dark along some of these. Okay, so I want some extra dark back here. Now I've had this set of gelatos, guys, for years, and they don't dry out if you keep them capped and don't keep them on the refrigerator.
I was just say on heat.
Yeah, keep them away from heat.
Out of the sun.
Out of the sun. Don't store them on a bookcase or something where the sun beats in on them. But they will, they do stay nice and moist, and they will last for a very, very long time because, as you can see, with these two, I'm not using an awful lot. They're so heavily pigmented that it just doesn't take an awful lot of color to just go a long, long way. So, oops, knocked the cap off. I had it hanging on the back because I'm forever losing the caps to my water pens. Okay. When we are working on paper, you also have to be a little bit aware, more so than if you're working on a canvas, you have to be aware of not rubbing on one area too much or you start getting little paper flakes off. Mm-hmm. So think about that too.
Betty says that she has tons of stamps but have never really known the best way to use them.
Okay.
So it sounds like she's learning the best way to use them.
Excellent. Are you finding now, Betty, that you're going to be able to layer some of those and kind of build them into some of your creations? It's a nice dark area back in here. I still want this over here, even though it's on the light side. I want, I think, a little bit more darkness in these hills as we move back away from the sun a little bit. See what it does when you start putting in the lights and darks? It starts putting real texture to things.
Betty said yes, that she's learning how, and Roberta said that she's been using the 12 by 12 paper pad from Vicky.
Oh, good.
And the small bottle of clear.
Excellent.
So.
There's Rocky again. He spouted off earlier and I didn't turn him off. Now he's going to serenade us again. Okay, let's do some blues. Turn my expensive palette around and get some blues on here. I have lots of pretty blues. Well, let's get some water going. And even though, oh, that's Bryce's down there, which is also our camera. Unfortunately, that sounds like a timer, which we might have to shut off.
It's showing a phone call.
Oh, okay, good.
Whoa.
Oh, hello.
We probably lost it because of the phone.
Yeah.
So. Bear with me. I'm going to have to get some stuff readjusted.
Can you tip the camera down a little bit in the meantime? So. Oh, it goes right through her. There we go. Okay. We're okay. We have a new camera that just came in that we're going to try. That's darker than I envisioned. You know what I forgot to do there, guys? I forgot to dab it off on my paper towel, didn't I? Which I've gotten a little sloppy about today because these colors are closer to what I want right off. But that proved why I still want to dab it, doesn't it? Because I kind of like to know what colors I'm putting on before I put them on. Now the way we've done this lake, I can kind of redefine my water lines here. Let's go to this. It's kind of over on the other side and kind of build some water over here. And then it will look more like a bigger lake. I've got stuff in the front going out there. I've got stuff in the back coming in. But I'm going to define for myself where my water goes. I actually think I might bring my water clear over here and behind these cattails this time, because why not? I can do that. So I'm going to kind of redefine what some of this area is. And I'm going to bring my blue water right up in behind those cattails. I like that. This is much better. This might be my favorite one yet when we're done. Despite a rough start on things. And stamping poorly. I can come back in and put some of my greenery and stuff kind of hanging up into my water. Right now I'm just trying to define where my water line is going to go. So now that we have the stamp platforms back in, if you guys can think of people you would like to join us, I'd be happy to put put a supplies list together for things they would need to get started and kind of catch up with us. And I can probably even put a nice discount to that so that they can affordably join us. Sure would like to have a few more people join into our stamping group here.
Bear with me, guys. I'm moving the camera quite a bit.
I did find that there was some advantage both in terms of highlighting the fish and in terms of keeping my colors true on the fish to go really light, super light around the fish itself when I was coloring this. So do we have, oh yeah,
Give
we
me
got
just
this
a
camera
second.
back
We're
again.
gonna work
We're
that
gonna switch
here.
it back.
There we go.
There we go. So I'm keeping it really light right around my fish itself. And then we'll start adding a little bit darker color as we get back towards the bank. So we can come in with some darker colors around the bank, because you know how it's always more shaded right around the bank. And then we'll have some highlights, or we'll have some reflection and stuff down into the water. But the closer we come in to the bank, the darker it's going to get. So we'll put some darker blues and stuff in there. And we'll work some more on that, but let's work on something else for a minute so that we can kind of let some of our blues set and be okay. We're going to maybe work a little bit in this very foreground area. Let's get some greens out of here in our expensive palette. I love the fact that I have lots of green colors that I can start with, and then I can still mix my own between them. You know, if I want a tone that's not quite there, I can just grab some out of everything and mix them up.
Roberta was just saying that it's frustrating to have your paper break down in the middle of a piece.
Yeah, yeah. And that's where that gesso really can help. Okay. I like this kind of olive color for some of my base here in the front, so I'm going to get a pretty good amount of that.
Gives you the idea of being part of the bank and the muddiness.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I've got some rocks and stuff here. I'm going to kind of go around the rocks a little bit. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of wash this green up onto things. And then when I add extra color, it's just going to give it more dimension. So I'll avoid my rocks a little bit, but otherwise I'm going to just kind of put this color down across the front here. And then I can come in, once I've done that, I can come in and I can begin to put my, close on my water line and stuff a little bit. But I'm going to put some of this green down in front. And then I'm going to, I think, after I've done this, I think I'll sketch my rocks in so I can see where they are. Now the beautiful thing we have here, guys, I bet we never thought we'd say that we would be so thankful for our black, but we have, whether I'm using my watercolor pencils or whether I'm using my gelatos, we don't have to mix our grays. I have two beautiful. I have this brownish gray, which is really kind of cool. That'd be a cool rock color, wouldn't it? And then I have gray. And if I wanted, I can actually put in black and make the colors more concentrated on any of this that I want to. I do like this kind of warm gray. That's nice, this warm gray for our rocks. But I can add some depth to these rocks now with that black. Whoa, way more water than I wanted. But the beauty of watercolors, I just pick it back up. Okay. All right. All right. How about the rest of you guys? How many of you guys have done mixed media stuff? You may have done more of that than I've done. That's the real beauty of working together in a group, isn't it? That different people share different experiences and bring different levels of experience into things. I love that. Because I'll be the first one to tell you, I am not expert in a whole lot of areas. We can't all be. So it's really nice when we can give each other tips and suggestions and feedback. I love that. Bring in the different experiences. What other crafts do you guys like? I know that we're all paper crafters because that's why you're here. But what other crafts do you guys like? What are your faves? Your favorite things to do?
Betty says no mixed media yet for her.
No mixed media yet? Yeah. How about some of the rest of you? What do you like? What do you know, when you think about a perfect crafting day, what does that entail?
Diane said diamond paintings.
Diamond painting's fun. We do a lot of that in our household. Lauren especially. Boy, she's the queen of diamond painting in this environment.
That is what I did last Friday because I couldn't seem to move with from having the shots.
Oh yeah.
And or I should say one shot. It just was so tiring, and so I thought, hey, I can sit and do diamond paintings, and it's not going to be anything too rough. Won't have to move my arms too much, so it worked out great.
Perfect. What else do you guys like? I know Margie likes to sew too.
Andrea said beading and all needle crafts and diamond painting.
I love to blow large glass.
Here, let me go back up. Large glass pieces, but I can't do that being in I think that says college. Ceramics, make porcelain dolls, needlepoint, slinging paint everywhere. Mariara says that she likes 3D projects, making small recipe books, small photo albums.
Oh yeah.
I like the decorating part. Betty said that she used to sew, but not lately. That's why Mariara liked the clocks and the coasters so much.
Okay. You guys see primarily what I do. I mean, I'm pretty avid on the paper crafting side of things, but I like to do other things with paper. I like, like you guys, I like the 3D objects. I like using my Cricut machine and making dimensional things. Remember the barbecue we did? I like doing that kind of thing. I like um, I like diamond painting. I like coloring. I bet you guys can tell that, because we've been doing lots of coloring in the last couple of weeks, haven't we? I like coloring. I like
Betty said that she made no-sew blankets and gave them to charity.
oh, how nice.
And Mary R. said that photo frames that are personalized make great gifts too.
Beautiful. Look at you guys. You guys are amazing. We have so much creativity, welled up in all the people in this group. I see some of your projects and I'm amazed. Just beautiful. Beautiful stuff you guys do. That's more turquoisey. I need a darker green. Let's just take some of this black and mix it into our green, and that will give me some evergreen color, hopefully. A little dark evergreen. Oh, here we go. And I'm liking the way that's looking.
Andrea said there are not too many crafts that I don't like.
I hear you. I love beading. I've been trying my hand a little bit at wire wrapping. That's fun. I love beading, actually. That's way up on my list of craft loves. I really do like beading stuff. And I do like what I've done of the wire wrapping. I like that. My sister-in-law, Paula, I approached her about doing a class for us, and she said, probably not. She was intimidated by the thought of trying to give a lesson, but she is going to do some wire wrapping with me individually. We're going to do we haven't figured out when yet. We have to put our schedules together, but she's going to do some wire wrapping with me individually, and I would be happy to share some tips as I learn them. So we might be able to do some of that. Any of the rest of you guys do wire wrapping, beading kind of stuff? I need more green. More green and more green.
Donna says that she loves to teach art and see what kindergartners make when they draw themselves and the first time they paint.
Oh, kindergartners are a kick in the pants. You never know what's going to come out of that group when you work with them. You never ever know what will come out of the mouths of babes. I love them. I love them. When I first started doing art literacies, I've told this to Thelma before. When I first started doing art literacy in the schools, I was really intimidated at trying to teach things to the younger kids. But man, as I got used to them, those younger kids just became a blessing to me. I love those little people. They were such fun, such honesty. Really, really fun.
Say hello to Veronica Fox.
Hi, Veronica.
She said that
Welcome.
she likes that you're live and that you get to see from both angles to see the process.
Thank you. Well, thank you for dropping in to see us. Do you watch us? Have you watched some of our videos, Veronica? It's so nice to meet you.
Andrea says for beading that she makes knitted and crochet beaded purses like in the 1920s.
Wow,
and
that's cool.
She makes beaded wall hangings and French beaded flowers.
Wow, that's cool.
And Veronica said to your question, not yet, but we'll definitely watch some more.
Excellent. we do all kinds of paper crafting stuff, Renica. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Hunky Dory or Tattered Lace. We do lots of things with them. We do, I don't know, what do we do, guys? What are some of you guys' favorite things that we're doing in these groups?
I think over Christmas time when there were gift making items, there was a lot of people that were really enjoying the decoupaging with the rice paper.
Oh, that's true.
So
That's
that
fun.
one was big. And sometimes it's just creating cards from paper by throwing in some dyes, by making things look so much different than what you first start out with.
True. I love that too. Actually, I really, really love that. I love to see how we can take a card kit and then make it our own by just adding our own personalization, our own elements to it, and creating something different than the
Yeah.
rest of the world has out of that kit.
Brenda said that she liked the cards out of the napkins.
Oh,
I would
that was
have to
fun.
agree. Those are pretty.
That was really fun. We should do some more of that. I like that napkin work. I need to get some more sparkle and shine put together for you guys. I have some vials of.
Betty says craftaganza. Yes, yes, we did craftaganza.
Yes, we did. And we did craftaganza, and we did more craftaganza, didn't we, Margie? More and more craftaganza. Well, that, do you, what, you guys want to know something startling? Craftaganza, I should be getting the kits for review or the emails to review and place orders next month. Doesn't it feel like we just finished Christmas?
Let's wait just a little bit for craftaganza.
Can you believe that? We're a month away. Holy cow.
Thomas says that listening to all of us makes her want to be young again and start all over. So I know that for me, I came into the card making process and the things kicking and screaming all the way because I my my mom would say, "Do you want to go to a convention with me? There, it's about card making," and I would go, "No, no, because if I get involved in that, that's just something that would take up more of my time that I wish that I had more time to do. No, no." And I think that she snuck it in because she asked me to help with my dad's 75th birthday a few years ago. And it was the first time that I ever used a Cricut, and I had to work to figure out how to make things and how to create your own things out of that because I kind of like certain things. And I thought, well, can I make this with the Cricut? So, um, yeah, so we had train themes and we just went all out. And from there I went, oh no.
Oh no, I love it. Oh no, I found something I really, really like.
and then and then from there, from Cricut, I saw Spectrum Noir's items, and so that's what truly got me into actual card making was that.
And then you came to my warehouse
And
sale.
then that was the end of that.
You came to my warehouse sale before COVID started.
Yep.
And
A few years
Margie,
ago now.
yeah, we were doing some kind of make and take. So Margie had her granddaughter here, and I had some kid crafts there too. And Emma and I were having such fun. And Margie was shopping. She kept checking back in and saying, "No, no, we're having fun. Go away." Because Emma was giving me a much needed kid fix I hadn't had since I had left art literacy years ago. and we were just having a blast. And then Margie and I ended up visiting a lot, and the rest is kind of history. She's been a pal and a co-conspirator and a crafting buddy, and
Well, you have to have fun.
all ever since we have had a very good time together.
Betty says that she knits Fair Isle cable and fisherman sweaters plus socks while she watches TV.
Wow.
Betty, that sounds beautiful.
Wow. See, you can post some of your examples of some of those things too, besides the paper crafting guys. We'd love to see what other things you guys are making. What else you find fun and entertaining. And, I'd love to see that. I'm sure that some of the others would love to see some of those projects too, because I know we have so much crafty expertise in this group. There just is. There's so much you guys do. I'd love to see some more of your examples on the web page. So drop some of those in. Will you guys do that for me? I know you feel like you're showing off or something. You're not. You're just sharing. You're just sharing. Don't feel intimidated.
By sharing, you might be passing along the bug to somebody else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a beautiful thing, man. I can't tell you how many of my hobbies I've gotten into because other people got me interested in things. I made soap instead. In fact, I still do make just melt and pour soap. Um, Once a year, I make a huge batch of melt and pour soap for holiday gifts because I've gotten my family spoiled and they want glycerin soap, so I have to make a big batch of melt and pour soap every Christmas. And Paula, Bryce's sister, she got me into that. I went to visit and we made some soap, and the rest is history. Now I have a garage full of soap making materials.
Patrice, I'm curious for you to expand on that statement. She says she's making a farm in her basement.
A farm in your basement.
Please elaborate.
Yeah, when I think of farms and basements, I think of grow operations. Do you have a grow operation in your basement, Patrice?
Roberta said that she used to do a lot of beading.
I love beading. Beading's fun too. That's very satisfying to me. I haven't worn a lot of my beaded necklaces on the air. I should start getting some of those out. I love beading. I think beading is incredibly satisfying. You can make such pretty things.
Andrea said that she'll try and post a few examples of her beading. She's not good at remembering to take pictures of her things, so a lot is already gone.
It's nice to have those pictures as a record of what you've made, isn't it?
I take a picture of everything at some point in
I
time or
would like
another.
to say that I'm organized enough to have taken a picture of everything. I will say I'm way better about it since we've been doing the classes because I need them for the class kits and that kind of thing. But I historically have not been good about taking photographs, and I do appreciate the fact now that I can look back at prior projects that we've done, and I find that satisfying too.
Patrice says that she's doing hydroponic.
Wow, that's fun. So it is a grow operation, just a little different grow operation than I may have thought of initially.
Someone wants to know how many people cut up Sears catalogs to make paper dolls.
Oh,
Paper
wow.
dolls are so much fun.
Okay, while we've been talking here, I've just been kind of filling in some detail in my trees and stuff in the back.
Patrice has broccoli. Let me make sure that I've got the whole broccoli, tomato, peppers, cabbage, spinach, lettuce, plus fruit trees. Today
Wow.
she's planting a peach tree.
Really?
How long does it take for you to get fruit?
She might get you into setting up a grow operation in your shed there, Margie.
in my greenhouse?
Yes. Margie built her own greenhouse.
It's 12 feet by 10 feet.
Margie is a reuser of things. She scavenges
I do.
and finds cool pieces, and then she remakes them into objects of her choice. So she makes tables and benches and greenhouses out of people's throwaway stuff.
Yeah, we had the greenhouse. We had a shed that we were able to take from somebody in Beaverton. It was you take it down, you get it. So we took it all down and put it in our truck and brought it over to the house. And I would tell my husband and my son it's worth the wood alone when we went to go take down this shed, because they had to do a lot of the taking apart, and now they won't let me live it down. So whenever something comes up, it's worth the wood alone is the statement. But
That and put a bird on it.
and put a bird on it. Yep.
The two crafty phrases from Margie's household. It's worth the wood alone and put a bird on it.
Roberta said that she's not in Maine. She's doing fruits and vegetables for Patrice. Patrice said, no pot.
Well, we're in Oregon where it's now legal, but it doesn't have the mystique that grow operations once did. It's perfectly legal to grow stuff for your own consumption in Oregon, but okay, let's see.
She had orange and lemon trees that produced
Let me just give
fruit.
you a view because we haven't looked at things for a while. Here's where we are, and we're just continuing to move forward. You can see that what I've done most recently, I added a little more dimension to our mountains back there. I've been trying to get some variegations of green back in the trees and that kind of thing, and I've pulled some of my green down into the water. So that's where I am so far while we're chatting and playing and talking. I love that you guys have all these neat hobbies and interests. That's just so cool. And a little more dimension to my rocks. I'm coming in along my bank and I'm making it a little more defined right along the bank, making um, making my water more blue right along the edges of my bank. And then I probably will also put in a little bit of brown there to kind of represent a shoreline. Come down a little in front and bring my water down to the edge of my bank. I love that our water is so much bigger in this than it was on the original image. I'm liking that a lot. Be sure to allow for some variegation in your water, guys. Lighter and darker areas. That'll make your water so much more realistic if you've got some nice variegation in your water. Don't color it all the same color.
Patrice said that it's nice to hear both of us talking.
It is. I love to have another voice here, and I love the fact that Margie will chime right in. Bryce, not so much. Not that I'm criticizing Bryce. Bryce has been a real trooper to be out here with me doing all the things I get him into. And there are so many that you guys don't even know, you know. He is. Patrice's artsy fartsy stuff has now outdone me. He's making guitars by hand. Oh my gosh! That's amazing. That's really cool. I'm taking some gray and mixing it into my blue. And I'm going to try and expand my skyline out a little bit with some of that blue-gray. Then I'll come in and I'll kind of mix some of my oranges and stuff in there. Not liking the way that's looking. Get a little more water to that. That's better. Getting a little bit of that paper rolling we talked about when you overwork the paper. So I'm going to go a little lighter there. And take my paper towel and kind of dab that off a little bit because I added some water to get that to spread a little, blend. Okay. Now I think it's time to put some brown in. I need some. This color here might be good for running along my bank. I need to add a little bit of yellow to that. Make it a little muddier. Yeah, I like that. And a little muddier. And I'm going to come in with this brown color right along my bank. I need more intense color than that. Where's that brown again? A little more intensity. Hi, Bryce. Bryce just came in. Teddy just came in.
Hi,
You guys need a Teddy cam?
Hi, Teddy. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I love you too. Not my ears. Just not my ears.
Teddy loves Margie. Oh, he loves Margie.
What have you been eating? Celery?
Come here. Hi. Hi, come here. Come here. Would you like a treat? I think I have a treat here somewhere. Where's her treats? Now I've lost them. Now I've asked him if he wants one and I can't find him. Here we go. Here's a BB Nana. Hey, come here. Get a BB Nana so I can catch you. Yes, Teddy Kim. Come here. He said, I know your tricks, Mom. I know your tricks. I have to get where I can get away from you. Come here. Oh, I always make him lay down and stay to get a treat. He moved about 4 feet from me and just laid down. Come here. Oh. Grab him, honey. Catch him.
Teddy, come on. Let's go. Teddy.
Here you go.
Come on.
It's like, you tricked me.
Daddy tricked him.
I'll trick you. He's happy to get your smile.
Come here. Come here and see your friends. Come here and see your friends. Would you like your PB Nanas now? Would you like your PB Nanas? Oh, he said, yes, please. I'll have one of those. I like those. I like those.
They wanted to know if your dog's sitting tonight.
Kind of.
Yes.
Those
was in his room, so it's just me and the dog.
Whoop, almost dropped it. Almost dropped it, Ted.
You know, I hadn't seen his cats out on the back area when I've walked by because they're usually far enough back inside there that I don't necessarily see them.
There's my
And
baby.
his
There's
very
my
poofy
baby.
Siamese looking one is beautiful.
She is a gorgeous cat.
Oh, goodness.
Buffy.
And Dad, it's getting warmer at night. Dad's been having to go out on the catio and get his cats and bring them in at night, which is kind of funny because they have their own cat door. They're perfectly safe out there, but he worries about them. So he makes them come in. And thank you, Bitsy, for all the treats you've been sending to Teddy or having your mama send. Thank you for that. Thanks for sending Teddy treats. Teddy says, "What? Teddy treats? Where's a Teddy treat? Where is it? I'll have one." Teddy needs a haircut really bad. Pretty soon we're going to have to dig his little eyes out so he can see again. We'll have to trim his hair up around his eyes so he doesn't. We'll not dig them out. Marty's over here falling on the floor. I meant that we'll have to find his eyes again and all that fur. Did you just take the opportunity to bite your mommy's nose? Did you do that? Did you do it? I'm going to have Teddy prints, nose prints, all over my glasses. I'm going to have them all over my glasses. Yes, you are adorable.
Okay.
And away he goes.
Right off the table. Well, as soon as I clean the Teddy prints off my glasses, we will continue. But anyway, Bob insists that he has to go out and get his kitties at night and bring them in. And his kitties don't want to do that at all. They say, "Hey, you gave us this space. This is our space." So he'll bring one in and the other one will run out. And he'll bring the other one in and the first one will run out. So, yes, our kitties. Our kitties. We got lots of kitties in our house these days. So thank you again, Betsy, for all the Betsy says leave the hair alone. Let's see, I know I have another water brush full here. What do I do with that?
Mary said that he just looks so deprived of love.
Oh, he does, doesn't he? Would you mind getting me some water, please? Thank you. Yeah, he's got it rough, Ted. In case you hadn't noticed, he's got a very, very rough life, and he'll a rough RUFF life, and he will tell you all about it. He says, "I only get ice cream about once a day, and Mom will only refill my Kong with treats once or twice a day, and I only get to sit in somebody's lap about 90% of the time, and sometimes my mom's holding a computer, and I don't like that. I try and make her put it down." He was really mad yesterday. I mean, he was notably upset. Yesterday morning, before I went to bed, I had worked all night the night before getting new stuff in the system, and I went in the house and was just holding the dog and talking to him and chatting with Bob a little bit. And Teddy was enjoying his lap time, and it was just really a nice moment there. Then Teddy jumped down after something, and when he jumped down, the cat jumped up in my lap. I mean, it was just like one left and the other one immediately jumped in my lap. Well, Teddy decided he was done with whatever, and then he wanted to come back, and the cat was in my lap. You could see it just infuriated the daylights out of him. He was trying to figure out how to get the cat out of my lap, and I wouldn't let him chase the cat out because that's not right. He left. Oh my goodness, he was just such an upset little dog. He was very, very annoyed that cat had taken over his spot. Well, the cat didn't stay long, and immediately, I mean, Teddy ran across the room and jumped up in my lap. It was like, I'm reclaiming my space. It's my space, my mom.
Kathy just showed up.
Kathy girl, hey, I've been talking about this. I'm loving this. This is so very clever, my friend. Thank you for sharing these. They have questions. They have questions about how you made this. So we need explanations. This feels really heavy. Is it what? Hello. Is it is it weighted with something?
What's
Is it weighted with
inside?
something? Yeah, what's inside that? Thank you for sending me those too. That is just the neatest. That is just the neatest thing. I'm loving that.
She said, yay, you got it.
I got it. And I told these guys, I opened that up and they looked at those and thought, oh, they're pretty. What are they? And I looked at them and I thought, oh my gosh, what is that? I just don't know what that is. And then I opened your card, and as I did, I was saying a silent prayer. Oh, please, please have told me what it is. I don't know what it is. Please, I hope you told me what it is.
It is a lid to a candle, and she
Oh,
sprayed
okay.
inside with adhesive and poured glitter in them.
Okay. And is it weighted with something? Because this one's really heavy. The other one's light, but this one's really heavy. I actually prefer the heavier one. It gives me a feeling of kind of control over it when I'm holding it. I don't know how to say that, but you know what I mean. It get the feeling of control. It's only an illusion in this household, but a feeling of control.
I think
Okay.
it's an illusion in every household.
Okay, I'm gonna put some brown on my cattails. Then I'm gonna start adding some detail in my grass in the front because we're getting really close to done with this, guys.
Which is probably good because we're hitting 6 o'clock.
Okay.
I think that was Bryce's time reminder when he came in.
That could have been. He's usually not that subtle. He's over there doing wrap it up. Wrap it up, lady.
She said she put chipboard on the bottom with Ease 6000 and 2 layers of felt, and it is just the lid.
It's just the lid. Okay. Well, it really worked well, didn't it, guys? We tried it out live on the air here.
She says she gets them from thrift stores.
Good idea to just get the candles from the thrift store. Now tell us about this one. What'd you do to make this one?
I think that it's the same. Maybe the jar lid was just really heavy.
I
The
don't
original one.
know.
The original
Because
one.
she's cut this here. So I just don't know what it's made out of. It's really pretty though. And they work really well. It's just such a nice idea. And so useful, because that pushing down, like you called it, doing CPR on my platform, that gets to your wrist a little bit over time. But using that, just pushing all over, wasn't hard on my wrist at all. Oops. Kind of smeared my grass a little bit there, but I don't think anybody will notice. Now that I've said it, you might. We got a great impression, yes. What is this one made out of, Kathy? Oh, there she is. I have to watch replay. I couldn't find lids, so it's in a container you put condiments in. There are two of them. Same thing, putting adhesive inside, then glitter. Huh? Well, that was clever. Clever, clever. Okay, right now I'm just taking a brush. I'm using a really fine touch. I'm not pushing down on my brush at all. And I'm just highlighting the reeds and the grasses. Now, another thing that works really well for this, and you have them right in front of you, are these markers. They're a little too dark in most cases to go in, but see the point we have on that? I can't see it against my dark shirt. There we go. The point that we have on this marker is really fine, and you can come in and do these grasses and things really precisely, really nice, super fine line from these markers. So this is another good way to do your little grass effects in the front.
And you want that darker color too, because normally if you take one of those water markers and just use it as a regular marker, it can be very dark.
It can be very dark. But
this is
when we're putting these grass effects in the front, we actually want that to be pretty dark and make those kind of show up against the backgrounds and stuff that we've done here. So that darker is really perfect from these markers to kind of go in with that. So I'm liking those a lot for this. And then I actually went in last time and kind of did a little bit more detail on my fish using, not the green one, but using the yellow and the red. I went in and did a little bit more detail on my fish, and I felt like I had a lot of control over what I was doing in my fish. So the little markers out of your set, just using the fine line side of those, really do give just a nice impression. So we laid out the tentative schedule for classes coming up. How you guys doing with that tentative schedule? You think that's going to be okay? I did move things around a little bit from where we started because I looked and saw how fast Mother's Day is coming up on us and thought we better jump in there and rearrange things just a little bit and get some get Mom's Day moved up on that schedule a little bit. And then I wanted to get the Jamie class in because I didn't want you guys to think I was forgetting you. I know that's something you guys have a lot of interest in, and you have your, most of you have purchased some of the Jamie Rogers materials, and I wanted to show you where I see that fitting. I wanted to get that box kit in. I know a lot of you are interested in that box kit. I've had lots of requests for when you're going to get that kit up. And my answer is ASAP. I need to get the angels done for next week. And I did push the angel class back a week because somewhere in here, I know that the tax deadline's been moved back, but I got to finish my income taxes too. So I'm going to put just a little bit of purple, just a little bit.
Mary R, you would you absolutely use that extra bit of black foam in the stamp press when you're using the clear stamps, and then you pull that out when you're using the red stamps for exactly the right. You had it right because of the extra foam that's already on those. Hopefully that answered your question.
Yes, exactly true. Yeah, you don't use the black piece when we're stamping with the with the cling stamps. You guys are absolutely right. What I'm doing right now is we have a lot of purple back in those mountains, but we don't have any reflection at all in our water. So I'm just ever so slightly, I'm taking most of the moisture off of my brush. That's and picking up a little purple, but taking almost all the moisture off my brush, and I'm just ever so slightly running a little bit of purple into the reflections to just add a little bit more dimension, and I'm liking the way that looks. I like that a lot. I'm going to get a little bit of this bright yellow, just a tiny bit, and I'm also going to get just a little bit. Now I don't know how much this is actually even going to show up because I'm going over the top of the blue, but just a little bit of that bright yellow, and I'm going to streak it in just a little bit.
Kathy Girl said that she ended up finding most of the lids in her candle stash back at home because she had looked in some of the thrift stores. And she said that she knew you just had to have purple, and so she sent you a purple one and made one that she has too.
Well, you know me. You know me, I did have to have that. Okay, we got our grass in. I see I have a rock in the very front. I didn't paint rock color, so put a little gray on that. I have one rock that's been kind of covered with green, so I'm gonna get some pretty strong gray here and go over this rock. I don't know, guys, I think we're about done. I could probably still put a little bit of green up here into my background on the mountains. Oops. Although I don't like what I just did there. In a hurry. I could probably get a little bit more trees in the mountains. If I wanted to go in and get a little bit more tree line in behind the mountains, that might be good. But I'd say we are really pretty much there. Next week, we're going to take some of these elements. We're going to stamp them separately. I may use the cutting dies for expediency, and we're going to layer some of these up, and we're going to make a larger layered card. I really like the idea of doing that. So that is what we are going to do for next week. And I don't have one to show you yet, but we will be adding, we're going to use elements. My goal for putting next week together is that we're going to use elements out of all four, another one of my masks, all four of our stamping sets. We have I know it might be tempting not to get this last one, but this really has some cool elements on it. I love the geese. I love the eagle soaring above all of this. The squirrel with the stump there is just charming. Look at that little rabbit. So anyway,
Ruth Ann just joined us.
We're going to bring in, hi Ruth Ann. We're going to bring in all four stamp sets next week from this collection, and we're going to kind of bring this to a wrap. Now, that doesn't mean we're never going to touch these again, because we're going to, I think we will continue with scenery building, but we're going to use individual elements rather than these large stamps. We're going to use some individual elements and do some scenery stamping, which I think will be really, really, really cool. really cool. I've laid out the schedule. Were there any comments at all on the schedule? Do you think that schedule is going to work well for everybody? Thoughts on the schedule? Did you guys notice, just in case you missed the double dip opportunity yesterday, I extended that because the people who get the newsletter would not have necessarily seen the live stream. So I extended the double dip opportunity by 1 day. What I mean by that is that the Hunky Dory sale coupon is good until midnight tonight. And you can still do the 12% automatic discount on the Peony Promise that Margie used and Margie makes. And so you have an opportunity for 12% plus 10 on Peony Promise and still 10% off all Hunky Dory with a Hunky Dory sale code. Hunky Dory sale, no spaces. That's good until midnight tonight. And where's the schedule? Ruth Ann says.
Yeah.
My YouTube schedule starts when hubby heads to bed. The schedule is in both today's newsletter. I sent out a newsletter this morning, so check your email for that. And it was also in our Sunday newsletter with the October, where did that come from? With the Saturday class, we had it in a Sunday schedule and in the email from today. And the Angels will be not this weekend. We are doing the Angels on next Saturday. This Saturday, we're going to do our bow boards. I thought that might give me a chance to get some of these other projects just a little bit ahead of you and still have some time to work on taxes. So I took the liberty of saying, let's drop the bow board in for next weekend. We moved the Angels back 1 week. October, Saturday, it's all the same. Oh, man. Sometimes I amaze myself. The stuff that comes out of my mouth, sometimes I don't even know where it comes from, but hey.
Can you explain what the board class is about?
Yes, the board class. So what we've been thinking is that we have so many new variations on the bows that we're going to make up a sample board. We're just going to make up a sample of our singles, our doubles, our triples, our 515s, and then some of the ones that have been shared with us by Kathy S. and by Daria have sent in some bow recipes. They're beautiful. So we're going to create samples of all of those bows. We'll talk about what ribbons will work the best for each style. And I'm going to create, literally for our classroom here, we are going to, create, I'm going to create a little board for the classroom with the different bow styles on it so people can see that. And we'll do each one with the red bow maker and the blue bow maker. So we'll have samples of those with different materials, and we're going to label them, number them, and put down the recipes. So that's our thought on the bow board. I'm not starting with anything. I'm starting with a stack of ribbon, and I'll show you my preparation for that class. Here it is, right here. It's my list of bow styles. These are the ones I want to make sure I cover. Powders. End of April, beginning of March. What are we doing with it? So we can use a ribbon from home. Yes, that was the consensus of the group, is that they didn't want a kit for that. They just wanted to use what you have and tie your own sample boards. Oh, that's cool. That's cool that you're going to get braces. That's awesome. Okay, so we're going to list them. We're going to make samples of them. How many types of ribbon do you need? You just need whatever you've got. So I would say that some of your best choices would be to have some organza, which is the kind of see-through material. We're going to use some iridescent ribbon. We're going to use some satin ribbon. I may use some sparkle ribbon just to, show some of the differences. But we're going to tie them with different materials, and we're just going to create a bow board so that I may put them on little cards so that I can add them all to a board later. But I just want to create samples and document our recipes so I don't forget any of them, because there's really some neat recipes out there. So Roberta, glad to know I wasn't imagining things and trying to read the newsletter. What was I doing about the powder?
Sorry. There's quite a few questions coming through, so I'm trying to
That's okay.
keep up. So Andrea would like to know if you can, or wanted to know if there will be a list provided for what ribbons that you need to pull out for the class, width and types.
Sure. I'll come up with something.
Ruth Ann was having trouble reading the information on the newsletter with her phone. How many types of ribbon do we need?
Okay. Let's see. Let me do a newsletter for class today. Class today is really simple. I'll give you a link to this stamp set and the stamp set for next week, and then I will, in the newsletter, I will recommend some types of ribbon you might want to have ready and available. Cosmetic powders already answered.
Somebody was just answering the question about powders that you had already answered it.
Oh, okay.
And
the powder class is coming up in May. It's on the schedule. I'll repeat the schedule in there too, guys, in the newsletter I do tonight. I'll just repeat the schedule so you'll have that. What time is class on Saturday? I think we're fine to do just regular time, so let's do 3:00. If you haven't already, thank you, Andrea. If you haven't already, do the thumbs up if you would, please. We were a little light on those in our last class on Saturday, so if you guys can make sure you give the thumbs up, that's great. That helps us get recommended on YouTube, and it also makes me feel good. So hit those thumbs up if you would, please. Especially when we've been having technological difficulties and things. It really helps me to feel more confident when I see those thumbs up and see that you love me anyway, even if we do have technology challenges now and again.
And people have made even sweet comments when they're setting up an order and letting us know how much that they're appreciating the streams. And I know you don't always see those, but people are leaving you notes everywhere.
Thank you. So thumbs up is really nice. And hey, go back and add a thumbs up to the last class if you would, please. That'd be good too. I love you guys. Thank you. And in the absence of any other questions, comments, or pearls of wisdom, let me just say good night, Gracie.